Next up, ladies and gentlemen, is a standalone presentation, which is on the topic, Creative Strategies and Integrated Communications Solutions. Our speaker for the same is Mr. Atin Roy, a creative director turned communication strategist. Mr. Atin spends his days catalyzing transformative initiatives in the healthcare landscapes across India and Asia. With a fusion of imaginative strategy, behavioral insights, and design thinking, he spearheads innovative solutions for brands such as GSK Global, Nestle, Gerber, Alkheim, Sun Pharma, Cipla Health, and prominent public health entities like LSHTM and JHPIEGO, etc. Can we please give a round of applause and let's welcome Mr. Atin Roy on the stage. From my audience, I should hear it loud. Come on, let me hear it louder. These are our eminent speakers sharing their expertise, their knowledge, and we all are here to grab as much as we can. So I truly feel that they deserve a round of applause for the valuable contribution for our today's event. And on that note, sir, I would request you, our timer is right up there, so please kindly have a look towards it. Yeah. And over to you, sir. Thank you very much.
I can control it from here, can I? Switch. Okay. It's amazing to be in a room with so much of knowledge, experience, and enthusiasm out there, right? Really privileged to be here. Pranam. I didn't hear it back. Nice. What a gorgeous word, right, Pranam? We don't use it often, right? It's a very strong and powerful word. It shows the humility and the respect that is in our culture, which sort of we are leaving behind, yeah? But I think we should use it more often, yeah? So hi, Pranam, my name is Atin Roy. I work with Ogilvy. And when I was invited to speak here, something that really stood out to me was the word Manthan, right? Me being a copywriter, I love words, and every word has a story, yeah? So this word Manthan, right, it comes from Sanskrit root of manth, which is churning, right? Churning of butter. Krishna's mother used to churn the butter. It also has a very deeper meaning of contemplation, of looking deep inside, of thinking, right? And it gives a lot of imagery, right? All words can give you great imagery, visuals. Yeah, that's the greatness of, that's an idea, right? So to me, the word Manthan gives this imagery, right? From our myths, the Sagar Manthan, right? The only probable time when Asurs and Devas collaborated, they were in a partnership to get the Amrit out, yeah? And a large bit of what all of us do here right now is also Manthan, right? Why? Because, tech problem, tech check, okay? Okay, right. So, I think you will need to switch it, right? You'll have to switch it. You'll have to switch it, right? No, okay. Okay. So, marketing is also a manthan that we do, right? So if I have to use the same analogy of marketing being the manthan that we do in our everyday, right? Where, and my friend Pawan used this word, right? The devs of logic and the asurs of magic, or I would say creativity, kind of collide in all of us. We are all born creative. Some of us do it for a living, right? But we all have creative and logic with us, and we're kind of putting them all together and doing this marketing job, this manthan every day, right? in the Shirsagar of insights and data. There's so much data out there. Google is giving you data. Kantar is giving you data. IQVIA is giving you data. Our own data, right? Data, insights, right? We are talking about insights. All this we are churning, right? And all this churn brings on the Kamadhenu sort of campaign, right? Why do I call a campaign a Kamadhenu? Is because a campaign inherently has wish-fulfilling powers, right? The promise to fulfill a wish of something of a mythical value that we'll get at the end. The mythical value of sales, the mythical value of a market, right? There's still a myth because a campaign is a promise, right? And we go on churning, crafting the campaign. Like Pawan said, you know, with the agency, sometimes throwing out the agency or our own selves, right? And then comes the Kalpavriksha, the plan, right? With its multiple branches, it spreads and it kind of begets the campaign or the idea to the market, right? We spread it across. We use multiple channels. Now we have integrated marketing communication. We use digital, we use offline, we kind of have face-to-face, we have films, we have campaigns, we have posters. And then slowly after that, the success starts to show, right? The first, when the doctor says, oh, great, this is nice. Or the consumer goes to the website and registers for the disease awareness program, right? The first signs of effectiveness or positive outcomes of the program. But things don't end here, yeah? And that's the entire story, you know? What's a great story without a conflict? We all have conflicts in our lives, right? So then comes the challenges, the halal, the poison that comes after the manthan, right? It appears in terms of budget constraints. It comes in terms of competitive moves. It comes in terms of unexpected events and social media noise, right? Social media is a big problem these days. Anything you do, suddenly something negative happens in the social media. And then you have to kind of figure that out. So how do you figure that out? You have the learnings, right? Like Shiv, you know, he kind of took this poison and became transformed as Neelkantha, right? We take on those challenges. We face those challenges. We overcome those challenges, and those are the learnings that make us better marketers, better brand people, right? And then churn keeps on happening. The churn keeps on happening, right? And finally, the Amrit, the brand, the revelation, the mythical thing that we were looking at. We build that brand after all this marketing, right? It's the immortal elixir of perpetual value, and that continues, that we want to create, right? All this is all guided by something that we had been talking about, this entire ocean of insights and data and markets we're trying to swim across every day. And strategy helps us navigate this ocean, right? And I'm a communication person, right? Not an MBA at all. So strategy definitions, I don't know. I only heard of Sun Tzu as the writer of Art of War, which was a strategy text. Today, I will not talk about strategy. For me, as a communication person, what is important is what stays very down the funnel in strategy, the creative strategy, right? Now, it's a very interesting thing that creative strategy is a very elusive thing. Nobody really knows how to put a finger on it, where it resides. Does it reside with the brand manager? Does it reside with the creative director? Does it reside with the creative strategist, right? What is this elusive little thing, right, called creative strategy? So from my point of view, from a communications point of view, from a creative point of view, I think strategy on a communication side has three locus, right? Three levels on which they exist. Just like with the first loca is the brand, right? And this brand strategy that we talk about, simply put, you know, we in communications we are taught to simplify, right? Put it in one word, two words. Don't ham, right? It's about who and what. What are you going to sell? Who are you going to sell it to? What is the purpose behind? What is the why behind your brands, right? Then comes the comms strategy, right? Comms strategy is about targeting. Where will you get them? When will you get them? How will you approach them, right? And finally is the creative, right? The creative strategy, which is about the how of the creative. What will come out of that? How will you craft that piece of creative that actually goes out? Because understand very clearly, strategy, business, all that strays in the boardrooms and the companies. The creative is what reaches your target audience, yeah? And that's crucial. So this thing I was telling a trainee at my office, he asked me what creative strategy is, and I was kind of going through this. This is a slide I use for inductions of a lot of young people. But it drew a kind of a bewildered look on his face, okay? Because देखो ज्ञान तो सब दे देते, right? Examples से दिखाना पड़ेगा, correct? So I said, okay, I will show you an example, which I will show you today. But I also said that you will have to do one thing, and you'll have to commit to that. And I would ask the room to also commit to that, right? Which is called the Creative Commandment 6-7. How many Gen Zs here? 6-7 पता है? नहीं पता है? अरे क्या यार? You guys are okay. Anyway, so Creative Commandment 6-7 is about, and I have been around pharma companies a lot to know this, right? We are very inward looking, yeah? And that's why I would like to show today and get your commitment that we shall not navel gaze, right? We will not look at only pharma things, yeah? And so I have not got any pharma examples today, but I've got a wonderful example from outside pharma. For the other commandments, you'll have to wait for my forthcoming book. But then I told my trainee to listen, right? And I'll request everyone in the room to listen. Put away your phones. Please don't be distracted. Listen.
The harder it becomes to ignore. Your tongue, for example. Usually you hardly notice it's there, but when I mention it, you can feel your tongue bumping against your lower front teeth, the tips just resting on them. You notice your tongue feels just a little too long for your mouth, and you notice it never really lies still. You move it about constantly, without thinking about it, backwards and forwards, and from side to side. Suddenly it feels strangely wet and heavy in your mouth, doesn't it? A few seconds ago, you hardly noticed your tongue, but just one message ensured that you can't stop thinking about it.
Did you think about your tongue? How many of you had ever thought of your tongue like this before? Ever. Yeah? So, this is creative strategy. Yeah? And there's a wonderful brand that has used this. This is a radio spot by that brand, and it's one of the most iconic brand, and that is the brands that I'm going to share the story about, right? This is from...
The more someone makes you think about your body, the harder it becomes to ignore. Your tongue, for example. Usually you hardly notice it's there, but when I mention it, you can feel your tongue bumping against your lower front teeth, the tips just resting on them. You notice your tongue feels just a little too long for your mouth, and you notice it never really lies still. You move it about constantly, without thinking about it, backwards and forwards, and from side to side. Suddenly it feels strangely wet and heavy in your mouth, doesn't it? A few seconds ago, you hardly noticed your tongue, but just one message ensured that you can't stop thinking about it. Now imagine the hundreds of messages girls are exposed to every day, subtly changing the way they think about their bodies. See how you can help with the Dove Self-Esteem Project at selfesteem.dove.co.uk.
Yeah, this spot was aimed to make you feel how it makes, making you conscious about your body feels like, right? Very few of us realize, and a lot of girls in the room, they would realize that, invariably, subtly, without even intending, a lot of us do make others conscious about their body. Some men also face that, right? We're human beings, we do it all the time, right? So 2018, Dove did this amazing campaign, a radio campaign, which diverted the entire traffic to this particular website called Self-Esteem Project, which was aimed to build body positive confidence and self-esteem amongst girls, right? But it's not that Dove just used this. Dove has been doing all great creative work across and over time, right? Like Pawan was mentioning, right? There was this insight about 2% women think that they are beautiful. And from there, in 2004, this entire study came out, and Dove said, how do we move from one soap to something more meaningful, something of a mega brand that they are today, right? And they started, the starting point was this. They started to look around at the culture, right? At the culture that is around all of us. And you'll realize it applies to all of us, right? False stereotypes. The false stereotypes of beauty, which have a negative effect on women, right? And that's across the world, right? It's not just in a few countries. And therefore, and in this environment, what can Dove do? So Dove came in as a celebration of natural beauty. They said, you know, we want to stand for natural beauty. And finally, they put a purpose statement, you know, what was the purpose statement would be, and this is how they build their purpose, and you'll see the campaign panning out as well, right? That Dove believes the world will be a better place if women were allowed to feel good about themselves. It's not about how much, you know, you will bathe with it and it will have some fragrance or anything. It's about, you know, how can they feel good about themselves, yeah? And from there, the proverbial Real Beauty campaign, the legendary campaign now in advertising halls of fame, which is called Real Beauty, came in, right? And marketing communications team, right? They gave themselves a very interesting task. This is a brand marketing communication task that they put themselves to, you know, was this. Make more women feel beautiful every day, to challenge whatever gets in the way of that, right? And that they showcase through their work. I'll show you something from 2004 first today. Sorry, sir. Right, so this was 2006. The imageries that we see in movies, on tabloids, on these magazines, right? They kind of all distort our view of what beauty should be. But you know what? This was way before the digital had happened, right? Sorry. Over this course of, I showed you from something from 2006, right? From there, digital media grew up, right? It really grew up. Okay, question for anyone, right? Anyone can answer it. If social media was a human being, would it be a man or a woman? Any guesses? What do you think? If social media would have been a human being, would it be a man or a woman? I think it would be a man, a very uncouth, rough man who likes to throw parties. And that's exactly what social media is right now, right? But anyway, so social media grew up, and it became like the free-for-all talent show of human biases and prejudices. You should see and I don't have to tell you, you should see the comments that are put on other people's, right? People suddenly find a voice. Anyone finds a voice of saying the nastiest of things on internet because they don't have a face over there, right? That's a terrible human behavior that we have seen one part of social media, right? And therefore, In 2018, that commercial that I just shared, the radio commercial and the campaign that was done, right? It was addressing a very interesting problem over there. But that was not all, right? 2021,
Instagram made body image issues worse for 1 in 3 teen girls.
You can make your nose smaller, your hips bigger, your waist skinnier.
Young patients wanting surgery so they can look more like they do in filtered selfies.
What's often called Snapchat dysmorphia.
I have no doubt that Instagram helped kill my daughter.
Have you seen the new Dove ad that's getting a lot of attention? It's called Reverse Selfie. It shows a young girl undoing the dramatic changes she made to a photo that's been posted to social media.
I think stuff on like social media is a bit toxic and it just makes you have like a bad mindset. I think that's how society has pictured women.
When I saw myself in the Dove campaign for the first time, I felt like I could finally accept myself for who I am.
It tells girls they should be confident with their natural self.
Lizzo is getting real about body image. The singer recently posted this unedited photo of herself.
I have nothing to hide. You know, there's no shame anymore.
The photo is part of Lizzo's partnership with Dove for their self-esteem project.
And I think when they undid the changes, she was more beautiful than even what she was striving to be.
Finally, our youth can say, wow, okay, I look like that. Like me, yeah.
right? So they kind of encourage the target audience, which is young girls, towards changing. But they did not do this in India, by the way. Same year, in India, they did something else.
India, a country where 90% of marriages are arranged. They say marriages are made in heaven, but not till they are approved by families. Prospective in-laws judge brides basis an unfair expectation of being slim, fair, tall and perfect, failing which they are rejected, resulting into life-damaging self-esteem and confidence. Dove believes that beauty should be a source of confidence, not anxiety. It launched Stop the Beauty Test campaign with real-life rejected brides to challenge this unfair tradition. Due to regressive matrimony ads and social media conditioning, 631 million women in India are forced to adhere to just one type of beauty. Beauty stereotyping on matrimony platforms became a moment of truth. Partnering the largest matrimony platform, Shaadi.com, we created history by making every bride profile nudge every bride seeker with inspiring real beauty messages. These rejected brides became the cover of leading fashion publishers for the first time. Purpose platforms like Humans of Bombay featured their inspiring stories. Popular influencers came forward and encouraged other women to share their real stories on social media. Dove partnered leading publishers and rewrote the age-old biased matrimony ad without using biased words. Stop the Beauty Test was a fully integrated, high-scale, high-impact and highly engaging campaign. Dove created history by challenging matrimony and media platforms and killing the beauty biases and stereotypes with its real beauty stance. It built confidence and stirred conversations with women posing a question: how much beauty is enough?
So I can give you gyan about how integrated this campaign was, but I will not. I will do something else. I'll show you what is the result of having followed, trying to build women and their self-esteem over the last 25 years has been. This is what the Dove team won. So therefore, to bring this all together, you saw these creatives that I shared with you, right? The evolution commercial happened, and then social media happened, and then we saw how radio was used. And then finally the reverse selfie. Selfie is, and the same year we had Stop the Beauty Test. Now, what ties all this together? That is what we are trying to find out. So when I shared this with you earlier, right, that I wanted to make more beautiful women feel beautiful every day and challenge whatever gets in the way. If you see, each of it is doing that over the years. That was 2004, that was 2021. Yeah. And then there are messages, right? What's the message that we talked about? In 2004, we were talking about false stereotypes, right? In 2018, we were talking about the need for more self-esteem. In 2021, we were talking about insecurities of young girls. And of course, in the same time, we were talking about the societal biases, right? And the creative strategy there, would be to expose the manipulation, right? In creative strategy, in that, if I have to put, is make others feel the body shaming. Yeah, and sometimes creative strategy is as simple as that. It inspires the creative team to come up with what creatives you just saw. Face the world as an authentic self. Your selfie is your face for the world, right? And that leads to this critical creative. Yeah, say no to judgments. Say no to the beauty test, right? If I have to put all this together, what do we get out of that? I think there are very few components. There are three components that are there in a creative strategy. One is the seed. The seed, which was seeded in 2004, about making women feel more beautiful every day and challenging what gets in the way, right? That stays. Every piece of work has that. The glue, the actual crafting of the message, how will it come together, right? What is it? The exposure, right? The feeling. And the gift. In every piece of creative, you remember a piece of creative because you have a certain emotional gift that comes out of it. Yeah? And therefore the gift, right? The entire gift of seeing a behind the scenes of a model, seeing the experience the biases and the judgments that happens, seeing the change that is being talked about, and the challenge, right? So a creative strategy is basically made of these three things, right? Some people call it the idea, I call it the seed. Which is the thought, the essence, the glue of how the idea holds together, right? Pawan shared an example of showing being sick leaves, right? But the fact that there is a yellow sick over there is part of the strategy. Make that sick stand out, right?